Okay. Welcome, everyone. We have got a new series we're starting called Inside the Outside, where we are going to bring outsiders on with Tim and I to this vlog and talk a little bit about what we're up to in the world. So today we have Rehana and Jermaine with us to talk about their work with us and what they're up to in the world, and just to get to know each other a little bit better.
Yeah, it's great to kind of get beyond you and I just being the visible part of the organization, right? To show some of the other incredible people we're working with. And both Rehana and Jermaine, you have your own organizations and you have your own businesses and work and your own kind of creative outlets, as well as working for the outside. But one of the things you've been doing is helping us kind of develop and think about how we might expand and share the online courses. You've been having a crack at that in the midst of COVID-19 and an uprising that has stretched across North America and now internationally. So maybe a little piece of like some sense of using that as a way to introduce yourselves. What are you finding being in the middle of that development, in the middle of this global world we're living in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been so interesting, actually. And a space that has been cultivated to really think deeply about, like, how do we upskill ourselves as practitioners to meet this moment, and realizing the deep work it takes both inside and outside to be a systems change leader, and how that's always evolving. It's an ongoing, it's an eternal journey. And so being able to work with Jermaine and Summer as a small community of practice, working through the online course, the shared work course, and seeing like, how could we create spaces for other practitioners to come join one another to do this work together, to really upskill and literally rise up in a way that's also really, I'd say, like, authentic and real. Like, it's so easy to theorize about systems change. It's so easy to talk about it, but to walk that path is such a different story, you know? And I think this has been like really great to kind of meet it with like a tender heart, but also like a robust desire to change the structures of our world, to be more equitable and whole and allowing of all of us to thrive. Yeah, I could say so much more.
I know, right? Well, the funny thing is, like, systems change can look like really exciting from the outside, and then you get into it and you're like, oh no, this is what it's like. It's like messy and confusing, and like you're being crushed half the time and then over encouraged the other half of the time, and you think you're taking 5 steps forward, but you actually took 20 steps back. Like it's this like myriad of experiences, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's not like this like lovely little flowing river we're paddling down trying to figure things out. How about you, Jermaine? Like, what's it been like for you as you've kind of like popped into these relationships with Summer and Rehana and kind of like dived into and you've been working with us in New York as well, of course.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thanks, y'all. Well, I have to say for Summer's pleasure, and for us, like, our team is SRJ, JRS, RSJ. And it goes on. And it was really interesting and just how we're just talking about it. Like, Summer is like, no, we need equity. You know, there's TNT and that seems pretty equitable. Like, how do we have equity in our work and how do we practice this thing? And we're really trying to like coach and facilitate ourselves in the shared work. Like, it's interesting that, and it's thank you for the setup where we can actually be working on something together and we can practice this thing while we're theorizing. So we make sure we take a breath at the beginning, or Rehana, like, we do some body activities. You know, we structure where you do a check-in for the first hour. Then we go into, okay, what came alive in this course? What are the questions that are there? What needs to be updated? And it's cool to see that as we're practicing in real life, we're like, okay, that article is great, but maybe we need updated to have like a different author, you know? Great. So it's cool. And then for me, I have the privilege of seeing how shared work, what the clients are actually asking. So in New York and NYC, we actually started to do some capacity building. I'm like, wow, they're really digging it. And also I see that there needs to be more of a space to facilitate and have conversations and practice it, not just an online course where you can do it. But there was something about answering the reflection questions together and holding space for each other. And then even trying to make up different activities that we can do to animate it. So it's been neat. It's been really cool. And for me, it's been nice because I didn't realize this until recently, that I've been doing a lot of systems type work for a while in my career, and it actually got overwhelming for me because I didn't have this frame of we're building the system. So as the uprising, as COVID's going on, for me, I'm actually going more inside because it's just like, it's too much for me right now publicly. But this has been able to actually be meaningful work and actually have a point where we're doing shared work, and I could create a poem out of working with 100 different all staff in New York, and show it up and bring that. So it's been special for me to have that opportunity.
Wicked.
There's so much in what you both just said. But Jermaine, you just said something kind of offhand. You said we could take a breath. I wrote a poem. Rehana will bring in movement. And so I'm curious. I mean, what we know about working with you is that you both bring really special kind of creative gifts to this particular work. And so I don't know if you might be willing to share a little bit around kind of how you come into this work creatively, or anything you might want to say about that, because certainly what you're doing is filling out some pieces in our team that I don't even know if we felt like we were missing until you were here, but it's just been like such a beautiful, so many beautiful ways to add to our work. And I can only see that expanding, right? And we've talked about different ways of knowing for years in this work. There just have to be different ways of knowing. But I feel like both of you bring kind of a secret sauce kind of thing. So I'm wondering if you'd mind talking about that a little bit.
Yeah, I would love to. It's one of, I think I came here to play. that I know, from the start. And so there's something in the practices that I've been playing with for the last 15 years of interplay and theater of the oppressed that are really, for me, they like just open up so much possibility of access to information, to knowledge that is not in the 10% conscious mind, which is what we're normally working with. So like deep stored limiting beliefs, really deep, even traumas or possibilities that ancestors have known that are inside us, that are really nourishing soil, like compost, and beautiful, like dreamings of what can be now, and how we actually transform, like how do we actually break out of cycles of inequitable systems that live inside us, that we are all making this up. And so we make up this system and they're inside us. So I really find that using like Rainbow of Desire, for example, is one of the branches of theater.
Incredible. What an incredible path that is. The Rainbow of Desire work is just amazing. Yeah.
Really good. And so it's really like, where are the cops? Like there's the cops, and this was developed by Augusto Boal, and I can go into the history of it, but really essentially it's like, where do those systems of oppression exist in our own minds? And how do we engage with them by locating stories in which they have blocked us, and to invite like other tributaries to exist, like to find the voice, that the leader, the strength to change the narrative, and then to bring that into consciousness, so that when that pattern returns, because patterns return, there's hopefully a little bit, there's a body memory of having done something different that we can then utilize in this new situation. And so I really love working with like wholeness in leadership, and like how do leaders get stuck in these old patterns that don't even line up with their values, but to use those kinds of, because it's so easy to say, yeah, I believe in equity and I believe in anti-racism and all these things, and then we're caught in old patterns that don't align. That's how unconscious bias works. So I'm really curious to like go under there, and I'm like figuring it out as I go. And I think just like movement is just for me like a way to also like release, and like we're in a time of so much information, and there's a lot that gets overwhelming. And so I find that even just shaking and making some sound at the beginning of a meeting, having people like just do a little stretch, just can like create a little bit of space around this container that we're building that hopefully invites more clarity of heart and mind.
Thank you. Jermaine.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The movement piece. What will I speak to? Well, for me, it's a blessing to be able to bring hip hop and spoken word into the work, because hip hop and spoken word actually comes from systems change, like trying to change systems from the community level, right? And being that voice, and having that spirit. And what I love in this work is being able to take different voices, right? Because everyone, you have these different elements. People are always speaking poetry, always have metaphor, but then to bring it together, bring those words together and have a synthesis and like, wow, these are the words that we share together, and that's really cool for me. And also, I think just the breathing is like really important. Like I'm not even a yoga master or anything like that, but for me, I know that how important it is just to get some grounding, some presencing, and in that. So that's a part of my work, is like try to get us present and grounded together, but then as well as like taking different elements of words and putting them together so we can have a reflection. But also, when you speak words or when you listen to words, it's a just different way of you taking it in, and hopefully you can feel something. And that's what poetry is about, is to feel something, to pull out some type of thing, because the information is there. But what I loved is to show people that you actually already have the information within you, and we're just bringing it to light. So yeah, that's a bit of my practice.
I love it. People are always speaking poetry. I love that. I might have to quote you on that, Jermaine. Nice. Friends, these are meant to be short introductions to the kind of TO crew, the outsiders, and so it's been brilliant to have you with us and to be staying with us, and for your perseverance in staying on this ridiculous journey of like launching this organization not so long ago, and yet here we are doing all of this work. So it's wonderful to have you with us. Choose anything to say to
Yeah,
close,
I mean, I just like echo and affirm that it's amazing to have you with us, and I really look forward to more people meeting you as outsiders.
Wicked. Take good care, folks. Thank you.
Thanks,
One
everyone.
love. Peace.